And ride with me in my foul life.
What's up? What's up? What's up? Snow Goose hunters, I hope you're ready for this one. I got a special edition of the Fowl Life podcast headed your way right now. Thank you all so much for tuning in. Thank you for supporting the partners and sponsors that continue to support all of our brands here at the Fowl Life. And this life ain't for everybody. The Fowl Life TV, Banded, and Jargon, and Avery Sporting Dog, and Greenhead Gear. Thank you guys so much. It's humbling to say the least. Today's episode of the Fowl Life podcast is brought to you once again by our friends and family at Gerber Gear, Gerber Knives, Gerber Blades. You all know my feeling on a knife. If you're a provider, you have a knife everywhere, from your jeans, your backpack, your blind bag, your truck, your boat, your UTV, your ATV. We carry a knife, an axe, a machete, a saw. If you're a hunter, a gatherer, a fisher, a provider, you always have to have a dependable knife and tool on you. And that's exactly what Gerber Gear gives us, the confidence to have that blade in our hands, at our side at all times, whether we're building the blind or cutting the breast off a mallard to put it in that grease or on that Traeger. Gerber, check them out, American made, right in the badass state of Oregon, West United States. And if you've never hunted ducks or geese in the state of Oregon, consider giving it a try, because the Willamette Valley, Sauvie Island, even Eastern Oregon, way over on the east side of the state, has got some killer mallard duck hunting and killer Canada goose hunting. So check them out, and please continue to support Gerber, because they look after us. They support the culture of the American duck hunter, the American goose hunter, the American waterfowl hunter, maybe not the American snow goose hunter. No, I'm just kidding. They really do. I had to tease our guest today. My guest today is a good buddy of mine. He hails from all places. When you think of this city, you're going to think of things like surfing. You're going to think of Snoop Dogg. You're going to think of Sublime. This man is living in Long Beach, California, and he drives all the way up to next to the Butte St. Calusa, the I-20 corridor, Chico, Durham, the rice fields, the Sacramento Delta, and he's got a huge passion for chasing waterfowl. Brian Keller, welcome. How are you, buddy?
I'm great, Chad. How you doing today?
I'm doing good. You look good, buddy. You been working out or what?
Yeah, a little bit. Trying to keep fit.
What do you? Oh man, I've been really getting after it a little bit. I average 2 to 3 sit-ups and 7 to 8 push-ups a day. That's what I like to keep it at. I like to keep my average there.
Let me imagine what the push-ups are like. The push-ups are when you get out of bed. The sit-ups are when your brother makes you laugh.
Yeah.
And what was the third thing?
Curls when I drink a beer.
There you go. Perfect.
I have my whole workout plan. So, what are we? April. Are you a conservation snow goose guy, or do they even have that in California? Do they have that the season?
Yeah, they do. They have a 5-day extended season, and it's 2 weeks after the season ends. And we hunt that extremely hard. We guide, my partner and I. We're the owners of Yeah Calls, Snow Goose Calls, here in California, developed in Southern California, throughout the state. And we hunted that 5-day extended season this past year, and it treated us really, really good. It kind of did a flip for us, and we'll kind of get into that a little bit. From the regular season, which has been, as everybody knows, the last 2 years have been a little bit of a challenge with snow geese. Bad hatch in 2018-19 season, and then in the 19-20 season, we thought, man, we've got this wonderful hatch, and then we go into this 5-day extended hunt, and we do really good. But during the normal season, it was hit or miss. So, we have a 5-day extended season that treats us real well. I wish it was longer, but there is an extended season that you can go up to the northeast zone. So you can go up to the northeast zone, and that season's another 2 or 3 weeks for some of the guys that continue to chase the speckled belly geese and the snow geese up in that northeast zone.
Y'all didn't do that one though?
We didn't do that this year, and we haven't done it yet. We've thought about it, but unfortunately, I was going to move to Idaho. Long story short is I'm sitting in an empty room where all 40 of my mounts were. This is my office at home, and I had all 40 of my mounts in here, took them all out, emptied our house out, and I was going to do this podcast from a pod that's sitting on my driveway. Well, it's 97 degrees out there, a little bit bad connection. The Wi-Fi didn't work, so we jumped back in here. But I was going to jump up to Idaho, move there. The virus hit. We had a for sale sign in our front yard that said coming soon. And we decided to take it off the market because it literally hit the virus. We put the sign in the front yard, the virus hits, and my wife and I are sitting there looking at each other 2 weeks later going, yeah, it's probably not the best time to leave. Our situation got shattered, not the selling of the house. So
you're moving to Idaho because you're tired of the hustle and bustle. I think that's the obvious answer. But
Yeah.
if you love the snow geese like you do, and that's what your company's based upon, why are you moving to Idaho when they really don't get after the snow? I mean, they have some snows, but nowhere near California. Why would you take your passion and move? Are you going to develop more of a passion for the Canadas and the mallards on the Snake River corridor? Is that your plan?
My goal was to kind of twofold. I kind of wanted my cake and eat it too. I wanted to go up to Idaho, and I wanted to live there because to me it's a much better state. Not to knock California whatsoever. California's been wonderful to me, but it's the hustle and bustle, it's the taxes, it's the politics, it's every bit of that. But there are snow geese in Idaho, not so much in the fall. They kind of miss them in the fall, but their conservation hunt is really, really good. They get after them for 2 or 3 weeks up there. I have a few friends that are up there. I was talking to them consistently this year, every other day, and they were saying they were getting after them. One day was kind of hit or miss, but it seemed like the birds, once they got there, they got to relax a little bit, and those guys did pretty well. But my true goal is to live in Idaho and make that same drive down to Northern California like I do from Long Beach with no traffic, not getting up there late on a Friday night, and then guiding for 2 days or 3 days and then coming home. So I was going to have my cake and eat it too by being up there and driving down to Northern California on my days off, drive home, hunt the Snake River mallards, get after the honkers with a few buddies I know up there, and kind of learn the landscape. I wanted to get after the elk and the deer versus what I get to do down here in the summer is my elk and deer for Southern California is chasing tuna right here on the ocean, which is 5 miles from my house.
Which is awesome.
So, which is absolutely awesome.
Which brings me to my next question. I'm glad you mentioned that. Is there some headed here soon? I need some pokey meat.
You got it. No problem.
Do you have some?
I don't have any yet. We were going to go out Sunday to chase. Some people call them bottom fish. They're not a bottom fish. They're a rockfish, and they
stripers.
Call them fish. I'm sorry.
Stripers?
No, they're rockfish. So they're reds. Like on the East Coast, they call them red snapper. That's different from this. We go a little bit deeper, anywhere from 100 feet down to 200 feet. You use a 2-hook gannion. You're using either fresh squid or live anchovies or sardines, and you're catching really nice reds, pure white meat in cold water. We got to some of the islands they're not local. They're 20, 30 miles out, but you make that trek. It's a long day.
Are they by Catalina?
Yeah, Catalina, Santa Barbara Island, and a few others that we go to.
On the East Coast, like around the Chesapeake Bay and Maryland and that area up there, rockfish is in the ocean is a striper. That's crazy. Really? Yeah, I go up there for Benelli meetings, and they take me out. They're like, "We're going to go catch rockfish," and then when we reel one in, there's striper, and I'm like, "This is a striped bass," and they're like, "Yeah, they get an influx of them there in the brackish of the inlets there, and they hammer them." But yeah, they're just stripers like you would catch in the Sacramento River.
They get some monsters there, just exactly like they do in the Delta and the Sacramento River.
And we eat the heck out. I just got a little shipment up by my buddy Brad. Just set me up with some chowder meat with my stripers. Striper's really good. But so back to what we were talking about, if you don't mind me asking, why not make the transit? You're a California guy. You're already used to paying all those state taxes. The state sucks for politics. It sucks to be a sportsman in the state because your government doesn't take care of you. And I would say it any day until I'm blue in the face. The victory last night with the NRA and the ammunition bill is awesome.
Richard McKeon fought for us, did it again. It's 2 times in a row. They're going to go back and fight against the state of California will, but hey, Roger Sporting Goods and people like that, big outfitters in California all over the place. They're throwing up big Facebook pages and IG, posts about, hey, come buy the ammo, it's free again, which is awesome. It's a good feeling. We'll see how long it lasts.
It's going to last. So why wouldn't you move up into the duck country and where the snow goose hunting's awesome, where you go to do 90% of your hunting? I know you get in the sea a little bit and you get around the Bay Area once in a while, but your main source of hunting for you personally is that delta north of the Rice Country and the Butte Sink and the Highway 20 corridor. Why wouldn't you move up there, concentrate your snow goose efforts there? The puddle ducks are there. You have good mule deer hunting there. You have good blacktail hunting there. You have antelope hunting there. You're right next to Nevada, which has some of the best Rocky Mountain elk hunting in the world. You're just south of Oregon. Why would you go all the way to Idaho when you already know the California way and you love snow goose hunting?
Well, and again, I would say this to answer that question. I would say is I did, part of me will always be in California.
Wait, let me finish my last part of that. Sorry to interrupt you.
No,
and you're a very successful businessman, and your business is right there. You could still stay, and I'm not saying you couldn't work your business from Idaho, but you could still stay relevant with your customer base in the state of California.
Yep.
Unless you're trying to expand big time into Idaho. I don't know what the plans are, but I'm trying to figure out, why would you move to Idaho when you already are you're based there, unless you're just going to come out and say that California sucks to live in.
I will say this: Northern California, the Rice Country, that corridor that you talked about, Colusa County, the Delta. Once you get when you get around the bend of Wright and Tracy, okay, which is on the I-5 corridor, it's a whole different state. And you're talking east of San Francisco, way east of San Francisco by a couple hours. You feel like you're I'll put it this way. When I'm driving northbound and I get an up and over the Grapevine, if anybody knows where the Grapevine is in Southern California, you feel like a free person because you've just fought all that traffic. You've had to get up at 3:30 in the morning to miss the traffic. Okay. And even when you do miss the traffic, they're probably working on the freeways down to one lane. You're lucky to skip that. So, I've thought about Northern California. I still think that Idaho would be a great spot for my wife and I, my boys, because here's the deal. In California, if I could show you some of the houses in my tract, you go, for $750,000, I'm not going to buy a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom house. And I'm talking 1,700 square feet, by the way, that's been there since 1954. And so maybe the kitchen's been redone and a bathroom or two.
You sell your house down there, you buy 7 or 8 of them in Idaho.
Possibly,
or some property.
Our goal was to buy a house in a housing tract and then buy some land outside of that where we could put a nice shop. Something like what Merlot has out, up in Chico. But, it mainly was probably just to get our boys into a spot where they could be in let's just call it more of a safe zone, more affordable, a better lifestyle for them and their kids growing up. Because who knows what California is going to be like in 20 years. And the one thing that I like to call California in regards to waterfowl hunting, it is the last stand. It's the last stand, period. There's no other state like it. There's no other culture like California except for New York, okay? And even New York doesn't have the population of LA County. You're looking at 40 million people strong in the state of California, which 30 million reside basically in LA County, and I'm part of LA County. So to answer your question, why not Northern California, where you got the puddle ducks, you got a variety of geese, from Aleutians to cacklers to honkers to your lesser honkers to your lesser snow geese to your speckle-bellied geese to pintails up the wazoo, which we can only shoot one of, which is absolutely
not for
crazy.
long. Not for long.
We've got green wing teal, blue wing teal, not a lot of blue wings, a lot of cinnamon, which a lot of people, I could go on and on. So it's kind of the melting pot of ducks and geese. Why would I want to leave that? It's for my family, plain and simple, and be able to come back to it. My parents still live here. By the way, I was going to stay here for probably another year, fly back and forth every other weekend to see my wife and my youngest son, who was planning to go to Boise State, which those plans kind of got shattered a little bit because of this virus. My oldest son, who's doing extremely well for himself and is probably soon in the next year or two ready to leave the roost and go, be with his wife and create his family. It really is. It's for my kids. And I think, and for my wife to kind of settle down a little bit and slow down a little bit versus the hustle bustle, which you mentioned earlier.
So you don't think that a place like Corning, Red Bluff, parts of Chico, Durham, you don't see your wife being happy in that area? I'm just trying to wrap my head around the fascination with Idaho. I get it. I'm just playing devil's advocate because
Sure.
I love Idaho. I love everything about Idaho.
Yeah.
And I'm a huge anti-California government guy, man. Like
Yeah.
I don't like what they do in a lot of instances. I think it's asinine. But in the last, I would say in the last 2 years, I've developed a huge infatuation with that part of California. Now, would I live there? Potentially own something there, but the taxes, they do suck. But, we don't have any income state tax here, but we have higher taxes on fuel. We have high taxes on a lot of stuff in our state that makes up for part of it. But, as a whole, California is a very expensive state to live in. There is no doubt about it. So if that's the driving force, that's one thing. but you're a successful guy that can afford to live there. I just don't know if I could leave what I've never seen hunting like I see in California consistently. Now you hear the Arkansas is awesome, but to be able to go into all of the different habitats that the Butte Sink and the Suisun Marsh or the Bay Area or the Delta or the Rice Country have, and then all the species you just named, and then a 10 bird man limit on specks and darks, snows out of the ass, and then you got unbelievable widgeon hunting. Yep. You have really strong mallard hunting in spots. I just don't know if I could leave it. I kind of like it. I really think that California, it's not my favorite. Arkansas, right. The culture of Arkansas is my favorite. Idaho's up there, but Idaho doesn't have a duck hunting culture at all. Right. But the culture and the things about Stuttgart, they bring me back. I love it there, but it is nowhere as good a hunting as California. Right. Now they kill more mallards there. That's just because there's way more mallards there, and there's a ton of hunters. Yeah, and there's a ton of hunters going after them, but it is amazing how many mallards they kill in a 60-day season. That shows you how many people are hunting. Yeah. I just don't know if I could leave that area. That area is bad to the bone, and I think that you're a mover and a shaker. As much as you want to tell me that you're reaching 50. You're what, 48 now?
47.
You're 47. You're a young man. You're a mover and a shaker. You're not going to be able to go to Idaho and kick your feet up and be like, oh, this is everything I thought. Now, trust me, I love Idaho. I love Hagerman. I love Boise. I love Nampa. I love the whole Snake River corridor. I love it all. But it would be really hard for me to leave that part of California. And that's what this discussion was about, is that you've made a name for yourself, and now you got yah calls about snow geese, and now you're telling me you're leaving the home of Western snow goose hunting.
Here's one thing you have to understand, and you know some of my past. I used to run some major companies, and with all due respect and not sounding like I'm boasting or bragging, I've been to the best parties in the world. I've been to the best dinners that you could ever have. And again, I mean this in the most respectful, utmost way, where I got sick of that. Imagine being humbled and let's just say, in having patience and understanding that, you've been through and done all that stuff. How much more of it do I need? And that's the question you have to ask yourself. Do I need to keep doing that? And do I need to keep going to all these? I've been there, done that. You get accustomed to it, but do I still need that? Or do I want to slow down? One of my goals in life, I've caught giant bluefin tuna, and I'm not talking the 3, 4, 5, 600 pounders, giant for West Coast. And there are some big boys out here like that. Yet to hook in one of those, but I've caught 100 plus pounders on lighter line and stuff like that. But my goal in life was really to go up. I'd like to go to a place like Idaho, or even a place like Iowa, or some place like that. I want to shoot a white-tailed deer with a bow and arrow. That's a goal of mine. It's an accomplishment that I haven't fulfilled yet. I want to go shoot a giant elk, whether it's a 6x6 or a 7x7. I want to do that, and there's guys that, like yourself, you'd love to go out and catch a big giant bluefin tuna. But I want to go do that. And I think that I could settle down in a place like that. I miss one thing that I didn't grow up in. Well, I kind of did. If you think about 30 years ago, when California was a Republican state, Ronald Reagan, people like that, it was a wonderful state. You could go camping, you could go fishing. Now there was a little bit of traffic through LA. That was it. Now you've got to fight on a Friday night, Chad, or excuse me, any night, Monday through Friday, except for when the traffic's great now, by the way. But Monday through Friday, 30 miles from my house in Santa Monica, if I'm coming home at, let's just call it 6 o'clock at night, it is 2.5 hours to go 30 miles to my house. And I'm lucky to get home in 2 hours.
How long?
2.5 hours.
To go 30 miles?
To go 30 miles. That during Thanksgiving, when you see, and we always say because we say in California, 405 freeway, where everybody sees on Facebook and Instagram, you see all the white lights and you see all the red lights on that freeway. That's the freeway I'm driving every day.
Well, get it.
Go ahead.
No, I get it, dude. That would wear me out to the point to where You can't, that's just asinine, 30 miles in 2.5 hours. And it's amazing that people deal with that. And then you hear of, like Kobe and his accident, but that's why he got a helicopter, was because of that traffic, right?
Exactly.
And he wanted to spend more time with his kids. So he'd go up to the Staples Center, practice, and then be home to pick him up from school. So,
Exactly.
yeah, I get it. All right. So what is it about snow goose hunting? I could see the conservation season, right? You got no plug in your gun. You got all these electronic collars, and you got no limit, and you can just stack them up. But this season is, it's different. Are you targeting specs, or are you targeting snows? Are you a snow goose hunter?
I would say I'm absolutely 100% a snow goose hunter. What has attracted me to snow geese is when my grandfather and my dad and I and my uncle, we would go down to a little refuge down by the Salton Sea, which is on the southeast tip of Southern California, called Wister Unit. It was a refuge. They used to grow barley and wheat, and the honkers used to be down there by the 15,000s. There used to be 50,000 to 75,000 snow geese that used to use that valley. And the pintail, it was a pintail mecca down there. And so, when I started hunting down there with my dad when I was 12 years old, actually being able to shoot my first duck or goose, our only geese down there by that time was snow geese. So, a bunch of us, years later, when you had that passion and driving for hunting ducks and hunting snow geese that we could hunt, and if you got an occasional flock of honkers over at 25, 30 yards, you shot those. That was a big bonus goose, and you were happy. But the snow geese is what we really keyed in on. And so we had, each year got tougher and tougher, because the snow geese down there at this refuge that we hunted kept diminishing. They kept short stopping the refuge. And then they built this unit called Unit 1, which is called Sonny Bono Unit, which is a big refuge that you cannot hunt. And then the Unit 1 piece is just a big closure, and guys kind of hunt outside of that. But what we did is we built carts. We used to use an old call called the herder's call that we nicknamed the Yeah call. That was a nickname. That's where our call company developed from. And that if you've taken that call apart, the old herder's call, it's a wood barrel with an acrylic insert with two kind of old metal reeds, and it looks like a cormorant beak. One's curling on top that touches the other one, it kind of vibrates, and it makes this crazy sound that's a high-low. But when you sat there and listened to it, and you listen to that call from a distance, it sounds like snow geese feeding on the ground. And then when you add in the call that we developed called adults only, that call there is called the traffic control. But then you add in the adults only, we created this one that's called adults only that does the murmur, the high pitch barks, the low pitch barks. So my point in telling you about that herder's call was, and leading into our call business, is that we fought so hard with other people. There was 10 to 20 parties down there at all times. We all communicated, and it was a big competition getting after the snow geese. So we, years got tougher and tougher, and then there was better years. You'd have an off year, and then 3 years would be great. But we had to figure out how are we going to get smarter. You had to be at a check station at 3 a.m. So you had to pretty hardcore to get up at 2 a.m. to go chase snow geese and ducks. It was one or the other, or both if you're hunting a ponded area, if you're lucky enough to draw a reservation. So our passion just developed over developing all these tools and, fighting with other guys and being this competitive set. So 7-8 years ago, when my partner and I moved up to, and my dad and a few others, we moved up to Northern California, and we started hunting out of there just for fun, by the way. We started just absolutely kicking the hell out of these snow geese and just going, man, why haven't we been hunting up here for the last 20 years? There's so many more birds. And we've been chasing that. But we took what we knew from down there, and we applied the same hard work ethic and all the tools, and we applied it up there, and we just kept going and going. And then all of a sudden we started this guide business. But to answer your overall question, why do we love hunting snow geese so much? It's that passion that we develop for them. Okay. Do we hunt speckled belly geese? Yes, now we do up there. And have we learned to become pretty good, decent speckled belly goose callers? Absolutely. Are we the best? No. In snow geese, we feel very strong that we can get, if you put us underneath them, we're going to get our share. We're not going to kill them every day. Anybody's a fool to tell you that they're going to kill them every single day. Okay. We want to, that's our goal. But I can promise you this, we are some of the hardest working guys up in the Northern California Valley. getting after snow geese and speckled belly geese. We'll take a spread and we'll move it in one day. It'll take us 9 hours for 3 of us to pick up 1,200 decoys and move them 10 miles away. And we'll do that. I'm working with guys that, and God bless my partners, they're in their mid 50s and they're still doing this. And they're just going, man, we probably need to start hiring some kids. But it's that passion that we've developed to really get after these snow geese over those years of doing all the things we did down here in Southern California. Now in Southern California, and the reason why we left 7 years ago is because the snow geese kind of diminished down there. It was getting harder and harder, and they're still having some decent years. But the problem is there's only 4,000 or 5,000 snow geese down there now. So when you hunt them for a month, it could be done after that, and then we're just starting our season, in the first part of December. We're really getting after them. So it's just different. And then we started guiding a couple years ago, and go figure, we guide on the worst snow goose season in the history of snow geese that we've been around anyways. And last year wasn't much better, but we had a pretty decent year last year. But again, it goes back to that passion. And if you talk to any snow goose hunter, I see a lot of snow goose hunters on Instagram and Facebook, and there's some pretty good guys out there. A lot different, Chad, than the Midwest. A lot different. We are trafficking wintering birds. We're not trafficking and hunting migrating birds. So in order to be on an X, if we could be on the X every day, obviously if you had bad conditions, just gray, still skies, no wind, no anything, you're gonna probably struggle. You're gonna have a tough day, regardless if you're on the X. But if we have the right conditions, and we're on an X every day, but being on the X is impossible every single day unless you have, a massive network of land and leases, and you're spending X amount of money to do that. So we usually lease 3 or 4 fields. We get after it, we guide, and we have some great days. Some days we don't have great days. It's hunting, and it's snow goose hunting. It's just like anything else, birds get smart, birds aren't so smart. But the snow geese, the one thing that I will say about them, I have a lot of respect for the snow goose because they're extremely smart. We've watched them over the years. I'll give you an example. We've been hunting them up in Northern California for the last going on 8 or 9 years now. And the first 5 years was just kick ass. I mean, they come in flocks of 10 or 20. They either come in or not. And we'd shoot 18, 19 in the morning, just my partner and I. Let's go have breakfast, come back, shoot 18 or 19 more and go, then we're done. We'd always fall short of our limit just on purpose. But it was easy. I hate to say it, but it was easy. Now, the last 2 years, we're seeing some changes in the birds. We're seeing some changes in patterns of what they're growing up in Northern California. And what I mean by that is they're still growing rice, but they're putting in more orchards. It's changing the flyaway just a little bit. I think the birds are getting more and more scared to death. And and no disrespect to people who do this, but I have a little bit of an issue with people that are ground pounding snow geese. And it's tough for me to do that because especially during the non-conservation hunts, because all you're doing is educating the birds, making them smarter and smarter for guys who really, really put the effort and hard work into.
So you're saying that there's guys that still ditch them? They'll get in a ditch and get up on a flock and try to ground sluice them?
Ditch shooting is different than ground sluicing. The way I think of ditch shooting is some guys jumping in a ditch and being in between grinds and pass shooting some geese. I don't have any issues with that. It's when guys sneak up on a grind and they shoot them and you're half a mile away and those are the birds that, you're hunting. And listen, again, no disrespect to those guys. If that's the way you got to go after them, but that's what's making snow geese smarter. They're getting scared to death. And, I was talking to another guide a couple of weeks ago that was ordering a few more calls from us. And he says, Brian, I think these birds are getting scared to death. And I go, you're exactly right, Dean. And we started talking about jump shooting and we both alluded to that. So at the same time, we started talking more and more about that. The birds are leery enough. So what has happened with the snow geese that we've seen, especially out here in California, because they're wintering all along, this Sacramento Delta corridor is that they're getting pushed around. They're going in big bunches, and the big bunches, the noise, and the massive amount of movement.
And give me an idea of your day. You fight this traffic, you get over the Grapevine, you're in less traffic, you're headed north. you are you scouting? Are you leaving work on a Friday afternoon and you're getting up there for a group to get there Friday night and you're going to guide them Saturday and Sunday? Or give me your average. Is it a Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday? Give me your average week during the regular season.
So it just depends on what bookings we have. If we've got a group of 8 or 9 coming in, or we got a group of 4 or 5 coming in, and it depends on who, what, when, where. But there's usually one of us always up there before the other, whether I'm up there or my partner's up there. We're scouting. We're taking a look at where the birds are. We have a few leases that we're taking a look at. And if the birds are within the area, or feeding in our field or next to our field, we know we should have a pretty decent day that next day. We've always hunted over what you would call kind of a permanent spread, either adding, taking away, moving into a different check, back and forth. Hunting out of whites now has really made a huge difference. It's really helped us be more mobile with the spread and be able to move that around. But yeah, we're scouting and we're doing with what we have to do it. Yeah, it's not, again, and again, this is not a knock on the Midwest guys. The Midwest guys, to me, especially during the conservation season, there's a big landmass there. There's a lot of land out there. There's still a fight. Don't get me wrong. It's not easy. I'm not saying it's easy, but California, everybody's like this. Everybody's bunched in. So it's not like you have 20 leases or 20, yes permissions to go hunt a piece of property, so you can't always be on the X. And anybody who says they are always going to be on the X, I beg to differ with them, especially up where we hunt. So it's mainly a permanent spread that we're making huge adjustments to based off weather conditions, where the birds are at on our specific ranch, and making those adjustments.
So tell me how it goes. What time do you usually get there is it on a Friday?
So it just depends. It depends if I take a couple of days off from work to go up and guide, or if I'm just going to go for the weekend deal. I'll leave on a Friday at 3:30 in the morning. I'm there it takes me 8 hours now because we moved our camp about 35, 40 minutes north of where we used to stay. And we'll get up there. I'll get up there 11 o'clock, go out and scout, take a look, hunt Saturday, or if it's a Friday, whatever day we got a guide, I'll be there the day before. My partner will be, get to bed early, get up early, meet the guys usually around 5:30. And then we take them to the blind. The guys that we guide, they don't do a thing. We're not what they call sock hoppers. Okay. There's a bad term for guys who use just a lot of socks. Okay. We use some socks as well, but we don't do the sock hopping thing in regards to, making guys get there at midnight, set up socks for 2-3 hours, set up, a couple thousand socks and, 50 to 100 dozen full bodies. That to me, that's not a guided hunt. A guided hunt is, meet the guys at their trucks, follow me. We're going to go to the field, help them get all their gear out, load their gear up into the back of our quad trailers, put all that gear back there, take them out to the pit or out to the middle of the field if we're going to hunt in half whites, and get them set up so they don't have to do a thing. It's to us, that's more of a full service deal. So that is my weekend hunt, 2 days, 3 days, and then I'm driving home. I'll give you an example. I was up there for the 5-day extended hunt. That Wednesday, I got a phone call. I had to come home. I hunted, picked up 1,200 dozen decoys, me and another guy that had hunted with me that day, and picked up 1,200. It's 9 o'clock at night. I left at 9:30, got home at 4 o'clock in the morning, had to be at a meeting at 8 o'clock. So, we do what we do. It's grinding, and it's sometimes, especially with snow goose hunting, I have a lot of respect for the hardcore snow goose hunters because, again, it's about that passion. If you're willing to put in the effort, the time, the work, and you have that work ethic, you should succeed more than not. And if you can call and make the right sounds and noises amongst those birds, and that's one thing that I don't think everybody's figured out, and I think that we found kind of a good solid niche in the snow goose world.
So if you're not what you call a quote unquote sock hopper, what are you? Or what does your spread consist of?
Our spread consists of...
You're saying that your spread's still going to be the socks and the full bodies, but you're not having your clients meet you there at midnight to get them all out. That's what a sock hopper is that the guide relies on the clients?
And again, I don't mean any disrespect to guys who do that.
Well, you kind of do.
No, that's their that's their style, and that's what they do, and that's how they manage their guiding business. But in our guiding business, again, it's full service. So we hunt over 100 dozen full bodies. Okay, plus That's not including the speckle belly decoys that we have out, the full bodies. Plus, we'll add an extra 50 to 60 dozen quality socks to the spread, depending on, again, wind position, whatnot, and what's going on that day. So I don't know what you call it. We call it snow goose hunters, you know?
I just meant kind of the size of your spread, but you're hunting over a more permanent spread to where you're not trailering it after every hunt. You're leaving it there. You might have to switch something out to recreate a new landing, like a new landing, the landing hole or the strip or whatever the approach you call it, you know, the runway. What about, and then you're hiding in what you use, Tyvek suits, like a paint suit?
We like half Tyvek suits. With comfortable backboards, okay, without name branding here. We use some nice.
You can name brand. I don't care. What kind of boards do you use?
So we use the tangle-free ghost blinds. So the tangle-free ghost blinds without the covers, and then use half whites with camouflage bottoms and face paint, you know, or a face mask. So we feel that that's very effective. The all whites, what we noticed this past year from some other friends that are guides, did some drone videos. The all whites kind of make it look like the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man. I mean, you're looking out there and you look at 5 cubes of white. These snow geese are getting accustomed to everything you do. If you're not blending in, it's just like mallard ducks. You know, if you're not hiding really well in that A-frame blind and you got 3 faces sticking out, you know, that's the other thing. Guys want to see. Everybody wants to see, and that's good as long as your face is covered or you blend in with the surroundings. But yeah, so half whites, or in that same field, we'll have a 6-man pit, depending on the size of the party.
So go back real quick on the Scout. Is what are you comfortable with as the guide to put your clients on?
Well, I can tell you this.
Meaning, like, when you have your binoculars out, what do you have to see to call it? Like, that's where we're hunting tomorrow.
Well, I can tell you.
Wait a minute. I think I just messed up. You're always hunting the same field pretty much because your blind's permanent with the spread?
Yes.
So you're not really scouting. You're just kind of seeing how far the grind is from where you're at and if you're going to be able to intercept them?
Yeah, 3 different, but you got to remember there's 3 different areas that we hunt. So usually we're within the quarter. We're doing a lot of trafficking on these snow geese, okay? We've always done trafficking on these snow geese. That's just the way we've hunted. But we've also learned in the last couple of years that we've made some major adjustments. To me, it reminds me, again, I'm going to go back and say it's 2 totally different styles of hunting, but mallard hunting, when they get real smart, you know, we love using mojos. I know you love using mojos when we're out mallard hunting or duck hunting, and they're very, very effective. But there comes a time at the time of the season. I mean, you'll hear Terry say it on his shows. You might move them 100 yards out, right? You might make adjustments to your spread. You know, you might make your spread smaller. You might make it more realistic. You might move your socks over here because they don't look like the full body. So you might have your socks out behind you. If you got a north wind, you might have them, you might have them out behind you, and you have your full bodies to make it look more real. So you're always making adjustments. Yeah, we're hunting that, but what do we feel comfortable with? We'll call off hunts if we don't see the right amount of birds, whether it's 10,000, 20,000, 50,000. You know, I've had 500,000, 500,000, you know, not even a quarter mile from me. I'm hunting that all day long if I'm under that traffic. There's no doubt about it, and we usually do really, really well. And then again, your results as a guide never depend on how many birds the guys shoot, and I'll tell you why. You know, with all due respect to all the past hunters that we've had, you know, some guys, you know, they're out there for the pure enjoyment of the hunt. They want to see geese. They want to talk to you. They want to learn what you've learned. They want to ask you, why do you use that Benelli shotgun? Why do you use that Black Cloud ammunition? You know, why do you use that style choke? Why do you use those full bodies? Why do you use these lids and these pit covers on your blinds? It's more, some of the younger guys would say, BS. I'm calling bullshit on that. I want to go out and I want to shoot 80 geese. That's what I want to do. And I don't blame them. That's not going to happen every day. I don't care if you're on the X or not. We want that to happen as guys. There's no more pressure on a guide or people that make snow goose calls that actually specialize in it to not shoot snow geese that day. It's terrible. It's the worst feeling in the world. There's more pressure on us. It's like when you get that first group to do it right and they shoot, whether they shoot all 50 of them or 10 of them, or they shoot none of them, you know, you did your job. But really to answer your question on that is, you know, the amount of birds in the 3 ranches, again, we've called off hunts, you know, 2 days before and said, hey guys, we don't have them. We feel like we're the most honest, hardworking guides out there. And, you know, snow geese can do just like mallard ducks. One day they're there, you go up to Canada, you find this 200,000 feet. The next day they don't come back. It's like, what happened? Did they move down to the Delta from where we're hunting up in the rice country down to the corn overnight? What happened? Overnight, what happened? And you're sitting there shaking your head. I can tell you this. My partner and I this year, kind of last year too, but this year we had a long discussion. We had a frustrating hunt. We're grabbing our hats and we're doing this and we're shaking our heads and we're sitting on the levee of our field with our heads down going, what is it? Is it the decoys? No. What did we do 5-7 years ago that we're not doing now? Is it the decoys that we're using? No. Is it the lack of movement? No. Is it our decoys too bunched up together? Is it the weather? Is it too warm? Granted, we've had some warm weather. I don't buy into this global warming stuff, but our perfect conditions are, and what we found out, okay, after doing this for 8 or 9 years up north is, especially for up there, and I think it goes the same for mallard hunting. I think you would agree with this. As cold as it can be without freezing over, obviously, water, but we're hunting dry fields mainly. As cold as it can be, a north wind at 5 to 7 with the sun as bright as it can be. And we're going to blaze that day. It's going to happen, okay? Or a south storm, especially in Northern California. Every duck hunter, every goose hunter is saying south storm, 30 miles per hour. The rain's coming. We're out hunting because it's stirring up birds. It moves them. The water's getting in the fields. Birds love to go out and feed. They're getting off the refuges, and the best refuge systems I think in the country that holds a ton of birds. There's 3 to 4 million birds in that corridor. They're getting out and they're getting after it. So it gives you a better opportunity. We don't like big winds, and I know you've hunted some big winds. We all have, because normally the birds are on you. It gives them too long to pick you out by the time they approach and get right. And then there's some days where you have that 15, to 20, which can be just perfect some days. So,
what's the average amount of guys you'll put in these fields? Are you the supersized groups, or will you take a group of 2? Do you mix them, or what's the average that you have out there? And are you shooting as a guide?
Okay, so we didn't shoot the first year. Okay, we did not, and we usually don't shoot. We usually shoot cripples or backup, and that's the way we do it. If sometimes guys will tell us, customers, guys or gals, yeah, we want you to shoot. Please shoot with us. Okay, we'll shoot with you. But our main care is the customer, number one, and we got to be careful and cautious and watch what they're doing. So it's not like, the first round of geese that do come and do it right, that we're standing up and blazing with them, because I want to watch what everybody's doing. And that's, to me, the cautious, being careful, the safety side of it, to me, is much more important than shooting a goose. And I think anybody that we know and we've hung around with for many years, all the great hunters will tell you a goose or a duck is not worth a life. So, but the size of the groups, it depends on what they want to do that day. If they want to go out in 6 or 8, we've had bachelor parties call us and say, hey, we've got 10 guys. We just want to go have a blast and a ball, and we want to help you and we want to do this. And so there's some guys, again, they want to experience it.
You just said that you care about
full service hunt. I'm sorry.
You just said that you care about safety of the hunters, but you take a bachelor party on a snow goose hunt. Is this kind of like the Hangover movie?
There's no strip poles or drinking out on that. This is a pre-bachelor party. So
pre-bachelor party, the festivities.
Oh, absolutely.
So an average of what? Give me an average.
Average is usually 5 to 8 guys.
So 5 including the guides.
5 though.
Including the guides.
No. So usually so my partner Stefan and I, we split up this last year during the conservation hunt. Just to give an example, he took out 5 or 6 guys. I took 5 or 6 guys out. Okay. So that there's 6 guys in a 6-man pit. That's perfect. Well, we happen to have a 7-man pit in the field that I was guiding for the late season hunt, and it was almost filled up every day. So while he was hunting out in white, half whites, half camo, I was hunting out of a pit.
5, 7. What's the limit in the regular season in California?
So it's 20 snow geese inside the box for speckled belly geese. What we call that box is west of I-5, or excuse me, east of I-5, the corridor between 162 all the way down to Calusa is 3 speckled belly geese. Anything out, and then they close December 21st every year. And outside of that, you can shoot 10 dark geese, which is usually you're going to shoot mainly speckled belly geese. So you can shoot 30 geese in a day. It can happen.
And do you have a dog that's doing multiple retrieves when you get a big flock to come in? Are you hiding a dog, or are you and Stefan trying to run out and retrieve all these geese and take care of the cripples?
So what we do is we're, again, being cautious. What I'll do is I'll have guys unload their guns. We're the dogs, by the way. I'd love to have a dog, but the way we've hunted the last 7-8 years, it hasn't been addictive to have a dog, to be honest with you. Yeah, it's nice when you can chase long cripples, but we always have our quad's not too far.
But so, tell me why. I don't understand that analogy. Educate me on why it's not conducive to have a dog.
I would say it's always conducive to have a dog. I hadn't had the time. I'm too busy to have a dog, nor do I have the room for one. Would I love to have a yellow lab that blends in with the surroundings?
But why couldn't you do again? Here I am playing the devil's advocate,
Sure.
But couldn't you have it to where you keep it at the trainer all year, and then when it's duck season or goose season, he comes out and stays at a kennel up there, and he's readily available for every hunt?
I guess we could, but I think that I'd rather have the dog be also somewhat of a family dog as well. I mean, being around.
Yeah, but Brian, I know you'd be feeding him scraps from the table. He'd be eating Big Macs and stuff from the drive-thru, M&Ms. He'd be eating chocolate muffins. So no dog. You guys have you had some big days? I know this last year's been tough, but have you had those really big days where you're killing 200 birds a day with 7 guys, where you're getting close to that 30 bird per man zone?
Put it this way, I've had days where that could have happened many times, and a lot of people could say that, right? Oh, that could have happened. No, I had the second day we had a good north wind of the extended hunt, and listen, here's the deal, and if these guys get to see this podcast, I absolutely love them, and I'd love to say that we shot for 5 guys 3 times 550 geese.
So they were shitty shots. Go ahead. What are their names? No, let's call them out. What are their names? Let's call them out. Jerry, Tim, Jason.
Here's the real deal. One of them was handicapped, and it was probably the highlight of my 2-year guide career starting as a guide. He got the first band of his life that day, and to me, it was helping him and out of the blind was absolutely amazing. I had some older gentlemen with me. And sometimes they like to hunt out of pit blinds because it's more comfortable for them.
That's the greatest thing in the world when you get to do that for somebody.
Absolutely. And they end up killing 49 geese that day. And honestly, we should have had 150. There's no doubt in my mind. I mean, I'd have a flock of specks on the deck, 15 yards out, 5 yards out, hovering over the decoys, and 2 drop. It just makes it tough. I got wave after wave of snow geese just doing it right.
What are you doing with the birds as they die? Are they going in the pit? Are they going in the decoy spread? Or are you abiding by the laws of the federal government and keeping them in separate piles for a possession limit for each gunner?
So you got to keep them separate is what we do. And I like to put them separate by guy. So I like to call out a name per pile. So what I'll do is put out, get Steve's geese over here, Jim's geese over here, and I'll put John and Joe's geese right over here. Their specs, how many specs they got, how many snows they got, and you got to abide by the rules. Here's the deal.
So those piles don't mess up the approaching flocks?
No, not if you put them in the right position. And again, it's not a pile like you think where you're taking a picture pile. It's more of a little bit of a spread out, but knowing exactly what. I mean, as a guide, here's the thing: you got to think of a lot of things. Not just you got.
But those geese are supposed to be in the hunter's possession.
Absolutely, they are.
But they're not in the possession.
It's a little bit different though, Chad. It's not like what you're thinking.
This is federal, though.
Kansas.
This is federal. This is federal.
But Kansas, here's the deal.
You get my drift here, though. This is why people don't like the frickin' duck hunt, because a game warden will come in there and make you feel like you're Charles frickin' Manson if you don't have your geese in the right spot. Yeah. If you put your geese out in the decoy spread and you're not over your limit, and then they're like, well, you're party hunting. Well, all waterfowl hunting is party hunting. That's why people do it. We're not going to go out there by ourselves. We're there for the camaraderie and the socializing, right? So where I'm going with that, Keller, is like, it's so dumb to me that you could actually get in trouble if a game warden walked in and said, hey, Jerry, go get your geese you shot. And then he runs out and he grabs one too many specs. Boom, he's in trouble. That's why they want him in separate straps or separate piles. But and I understand it. You don't want to go over your daily limit. But I'm talking like that's one of those rules that is going to make somebody go, you know what? F it. I'm done hunting, man. Y'all are, it's too much. There's too many laws that you break as a duck. I've heard people say that they hear game warden say, I won't duck hunt. It's too easy to get in trouble.
Yeah.
Like, what does that tell you? What does it tell you that you want to make it that tough to be a duck hunter and goose hunter? That's not the right way to do the sport. So I'm wondering if that's really what you do, because that's illegal. From the way that I read the laws, you're telling me that you guys are not putting the geese in separate piles per hunter, that he could reach back when a game warden walks into your pit and say, these are my 10 geese.
Here's the deal.
Isn't that weird though?
And I'd ask a game warden, I say, well, with these nice liberal limits that we have of 150, where do you want me to put 150 geese? Let's just say that we're not still hunting if I was.
My point exactly.
Where do you want me to put them all? I'll give you another one. So in California, on our federal and state waterfowl preserves, refuges, if you will, our refuge system, do you know that you can only take out 25 shells per person? So, but now here's the limit. You can shoot 7 ducks. You can shoot 10 speckled belly geese on certain refuges outside of the box. Inside the box, you can shoot 3. So, for example, you can shoot 7 ducks, 3 specks, and 20 snow geese on the refuge.
With 25 shells. 25
shells. I don't know about you, but
you gotta be doubling up.
Exactly.
I usually shoot 3 birds every shot.
God, I've seen your shows.
3 sprig every shot. I try to line up sprig. That's how you get treated.
Yeah.
Oh, really? That's how you get treated. Like, it's like you're deemed guilty in this game until you can prove to somebody that you're in it for the right reasons.
I will say this: we've ran into some great game wardens up in Northern California.
California state game wardens are awesome, man.
Yeah. But we had one guy. I'll give you this. About 4 years ago, we're hunting the late season. It's just a fun hunt. And again, Stefan and I, before we started our call business, we're blowing our calls, and the guy below us, and literally he's not even a quarter mile below us, and the birds are floating over him and dive bombing us. They're stalling out over him looking at him, but then they're coming to us once they heard our noise. So he calls the game warden on us, and maybe he just did it because he was pissed because he wasn't getting them. But I can tell you this: the game warden comes out, and I'm going, "Hey guys, we got a fish and game coming out." And so we unload our guns, got out our blinds, and he goes, "Hey guys, you guys are good." He goes, I got a phone call that you guys are over here using an e-collar. I jumped out of the blind. I started high-fiving her. I even high-fived the game warden. I was laughing so hard. I was ecstatic.
Brian, I told you at the beginning of this podcast that there's no scripted advertisements in this podcast. That's just so everybody's listening out there. This is typical California salesman Brian Keller right here. He waits until I'm really integrated into the conversation, then he drops an unpaid advertisement for yaw calls. What he's trying to say, ladies and gentlemen, is that the calling sounded so realistic that most electronic callers, as snow hunters so rightfully know, is actual snow goose recordings of live audio of snow geese feeding or moving around or grinding. So what he's saying is that him and his partner Stefan sound just like snow geese, and I'll that's fine. I want everybody to write in and say whether or not I deserve to send him an invoice for that, because that was against radio rules right there. He did not read the small print. So you're piped up. You're fired up with this. You got. Some days you kill them, some days you don't, some days you might kill a few. What is the protocol after? Are you piling them up and taking your pile picks? Are you getting excited guys to where they want memories in the field? Are you taking time as a guide and an outfitter to create that experience for them to have a wall hanger when they get home? Do some guys say, hey, keep that one out, don't let it get too muddy in the rice mud and this rice straw. I want to get that one to the taxidermist and mount it. Are you seeing all of that going on daily? That's got to be really rewarding as a guide.
Absolutely. I mean, there's some days, again, I'll go to the challenging part first. The challenging part first is you had a horrible day. It's hard to, accept a tip at the end of that hunt day. A lot of guys want to tip you, even though you shot 2 birds, and they're like, no, man, you guys really worked your asses off. You guys did us right. You did everything, that you guys are pure gentlemen. And I will tell them, listen, I can't take your money. I can't do that. My job is to get you birds. But on the rewarding hunts, where you've gotten birds for these guys, and it was a good day in a hunter's mind, when it's a good day in a hunter's mind, okay? You did everything you could. Let's just say you shot 30, 40 birds for your clients. Some guys would say, hey, maybe that's not good enough. I'll tell you what, 30 or 40, the guy should be happy. But to answer your question, at the end of the hunt, it's shaking hands, it's high fives. It's, hey, we had a bad morning. Let's go back out this afternoon and hunt until this afternoon. And guys will go, really? You'll do that? Because usually it's till like 11 or noon. And I'm like, no,
guide's nightmare.
Yeah, and we'll take you back out. It can be, but our job is to work hard for these clients and not be phony or fake, and really just show them the hunting experience of what we grew up doing. It's funny. It's like, Stefan and I always say, we could care less if we shot another snow goose. That's not true. But at the same time, it's more rewarding to see people shoot their first snow geese or snow goose, their first speckled belly goose, or to see that group come in. Like, I'll give you an example, and I'm going to answer your question. But 2 years ago, we stayed out all day for these two guys. The other two guys left. It was a slow day. And lo and behold, the last hour and a half of the day, we got a grind of 1,000 doing it. And there's mixed spec snows. They're ready to land. And I'm going, guys, what do you want to shoot? You want to shoot the snows or the spec? Shoot the spec, shoot the specs. They shoot up and shoot 6 shots, 3-piece. They miss. They're ready to cry. They're shaking. They're literally shaking. Like, when you got a big flock of Canadas, you got a mallards in the timber. Like when I've seen some of your shows back there, there's no better feeling, right? That's what we live for. And then you get to give that to those guys and their experience. That's it right there. You give your experience to them, whether they can finish the deal or not, it's another thing. But at the end of the hunt, that day we did it twice, by the way. We had another, let's say 800 to 1,000 birds do it again, and they missed again. And they're like, we'll be back next year. And it's that day when we've all had it happen, right? A gun break or something happened, something went wrong where you couldn't get out to the field, or you went out in the field and it was an epic day and you just couldn't hit your behind, and you just thought about it until the next year came around. That's what drives the passion. And to be able to hand that off to somebody that's really never had that experience. I can tell you that 95% of our customers that come out with us, some of them are repeat customers, but most of them that come out with us are like, we've never seen anything like this.
It's about that you get to see it so much, and the trick is not to take it for granted, because what we see on a daily basis, they're besides themselves when it happens one time in their life.
Exactly.
Because most people don't see it.
You fulfilled somebody's dream, and you hope that they're able to either come back and hunt with you again, or that they're able to take that knowledge that you gave them from that day, and they can go take that and hand that, down to their kids and the other generations.
So now is it time to head to dinner? Do you guys go have a burger? Do you go have a cold beer at the local pub? Do you support a local business to where you take some clients out and actually get off your wallet, because you're usually sitting on it pretty hard? Most people that have been around Brian Keller know that he doesn't have a wallet. No, he's a very generous person. But are you going out and celebrating with them? I'm not, not overdoing it, but just going to have a cold beer to say bye that day? Or do they come? I know that you stay in a camper trailer most of the time. Are you going back to your compound, and is it right to bed because you're so exhausted and you got to be up the next morning?
It just depends on the week and what the customers want to do. If the hunting's been really good, usually they'll take their birds. They're going to go back to Calusa and take them over to, one of the places to clean their ducks or geese and get that done. And usually they're out of there because they only live 2 hours away. So it's not like they're staying around for the night. Sometimes they'll stay 2 nights in a row. Sometimes we might go have a cold beer with them, after the hunt or something like that, but just one and maybe a burger or something like that.
Where? Give me an idea of where.
Oh gosh, the Last Stand up in Willows is the absolute best burger in that Glen County.
The Last Stand.
The Last Stand.
They got cold beer.
They got ice cold beer, great service. It's an awesome spot. Everybody sits outside and watches football.
Is it the one where you walk up and get the burger out of a window? You're probably thinking of Jeff's in Calusa. No, I'm thinking of the Last Stand. It's kind of like did it used to be like an old? I thought
it's an older building. It's been there for a long time. It's right on a corner, but the burgers there are phenomenal.
And they got tables outside, right? Like underneath the little cover.
It's called the Last Stand because you stand up.
You stand outside. Up, yeah. You stand. They're standing tables.
Yeah, the nickname is called the Stand Up, but we call it.
Yeah, I've seen that place. I've never been there. I was going to go there one day, and it was too crowded. It was too packed up.
Yeah, it does get packed.
So now what with your birds? You're saying that all your clients take all their birds?
They take all their birds. Some people say, "Hey, do you want a few, or do you want to take some for yourself?" We might take some. We've been having our snow geese made into chorizo and sausage and sticks, and we like to eat them just as they are, breasted out, etc. We like to eat our speckled belly geese too. I love to do a smoked speck, breast side down, whole pig speck. But
who's doing that work for you?
So we have Fin Fur Taxidermy, Brett Nobles down in Calusa that does a lot of the processing and whatnot down in Calusa. So he's a good dude. We've known him for a long time, and he does a great job. So
he's the original owner of that taxidermy shop. That's by the old, right behind Kittles.
Yep, right behind. Used to be right kind of inside Kittles on the outside of the corner there. Now he's just on the opposite corner of it on the back side. Brett Nobles, he's a great guy. So if any of you guys are out in Northern California, it's a great spot to go to.
Yeah, it really is. And how awesome is Pat Kittle? What a great place, huh?
Pat's a great guy. I mean, he's as calm and cool, as collective as a guy, and you walk in there and he's just kind of, hey, what's happening? He always takes the time for you, no matter how busy he is. And you can tell sometimes he's pretty busy. But even during like the calling contest, the state calling contest in August, he's always willing to say hi and be nice. And he does good business with us. And he's been a good partner. So
you made mention a few hours ago. It seems like it's been that long talking to you. No, just kidding again, Brian. You said your 2-year short guiding career. Why are you done guiding already?
I'm not done guiding. So I didn't call it short. I said our 2-year short career that we've been guiding.
Oh, I thought you meant like you're out of it now.
No. We're not out of it. Not out of it at all. We're actually gearing up for, we'll see what 2020, 2021 brings. We don't know what this virus is, what's going to happen.
Oh, stop it. We're going to be good. Let's be optimistic. Let's be optimistic.
I'm not one of those, but I will say this. You give a chance to the left to throw the book at us here in California. Here's the deal. You got 200 guys standing in line at a refuge. What are they supposed to do? They're going to have 6 feet markers all apart. You camp in the parking lot at night. You're not going to have camping now. What are you going to do? Where are you going to line guys up out on the street? I don't know. So how are they going to handle that? Now they've done a little bit with fishing. Like if you're not from that county, we may start ticketing you. So I hear. If you're not from that area, you can't use that launch ramp because now everybody's going to that one launch ramp, and here's everybody. So, I mean, if you ask me, this whole thing, I think, it eventually will pass. But, hey, I hope that nothing's affected through hunting, and I hope that we get our season and everything goes as planned. But, we'll see. But no, there's no 2-year short guiding career. Our plan is to keep it going strong, to build our
and where are you going to be guiding? Same area?
Same areas, general area.
Now, do you have your own outfitting service? Is this a business that you own with Stefan?
So Stefan and I own KO Outdoors LLC, and then we own Yeah Calls under that umbrella.
So is KO Outdoors your guiding company?
That's not our guiding company, but our guiding company doesn't. Everybody calls us Yeah Calls. That's what everybody calls us.
So now, are you booking hunts under yeahyeahcalls.com right now?
We're going to book them under probably KO Outdoors, and we're going to create our own site here real quick.
Is KO Outdoors the initials of both of your last names, or does it mean that you knocked the geese out? Are you saying that you knocked the geese out, Brian Keller? What's Stefan's last name?
It's actually, Stefan was pretty clever in thinking of it, KO Outdoors. And
KO?
Yeah, KO Outdoors.
Is his last name an O?
His last name is Orebo, Orebo. Yeah.
Is that Italian or Basque or what?
No, he's actually Creole.
Creole.
Yep, he's actually Creole. Yep.
So KO Outdoors is going to be your guide service. So this is a new guide service in California because you weren't guiding for somebody else before?
Yeah, we were guiding for Fish Dog Outdoors.
Who?
Fish Dog Outdoors.
Never heard of it. So you're done with Fish Dog?
Yeah, we're not guiding there anymore. We had a 2-year great run, and it's time to do this on our own. Ben was a really good guy to us, and we have not a bad word to say about Ben or him and his outfit. They get after the speckled belly geese. They do a really good job on that. But I think
this guy Ben owns this dog deal, dogfish.
So we were more of like
Fish Dog,
a contractor, if you will. Okay. So we were contracted basically. Okay. So we decided that we do a 2-year deal. But snow goose hunting is a different animal than just speckled belly goose hunting. It's a completely different animal.
So you don't like the ability not to move around. Is that what I'm reading into this?
No, not at all. What you're probably reading into this is that it's something that we think that we can build a little bit bigger. we can take it and go do it on our own. We've learned a lot of last 2 years.
So you're telling me right now on this podcast, this episode of the Fowl Eye podcast, that you and Stefan, Brian Keller and Stefan Oribo are starting a new guide service that it will be in business in the 2021 season called KO Outdoors.
Yep.
Men and women groups are going to be able to book the hunts with you.
Yep. They can start booking now. They can contact us on Facebook, on KO Outdoors LLC, or Calls on Facebook.
And are you leasing land up there? Are you going to have guaranteed leases to hunt, or are you free? What are you doing? You've got leases.
Yeah, we got leases. Yep.
If I was face to face with you right now, I'd shake you a little bit to get a little more information out of you and some change out of your pockets.
Yeah. What do you need? How much you need?
$75,000.
Never seen you reach into your pocket.
Shit. God, talking to you makes me think of a couple things. Javier's in Newport.
Yeah.
Oh. Yeah. What was the appetizer they did for us? Those lobster that night?
So they did a lobster appetizer. I don't remember the exact seasoning and the chilies they used, but
I remember it was chilies and the lemon way. Oh my God. And then it was like you got us a tequila shot each that was like $125, which is, I mean, I'm not a tequila guy at all, and it was smooth. And then the sushi in Seal Beach. What's the name of it?
Mahe, like the Dorado fish.
Mahe. Is it still there?
It's still there.
Oh gosh, it's good.
It's damn good.
Phenomenal.
Yeah, love it. Absolutely.
We've been to some good times together. We went to Slash at the Forum. Slash opened for Aerosmith.
Aerosmith was the best, though.
Slash is the best, but Aerosmith is awesome. But Johnny Depp came out that night and played with Aerosmith. Remember?
Yep.
That was cool. We've been to some other concerts. Lots of cool hunts. We've been to Iowa together. We got to go to. Are you going to start going to Canada again?
Well, if they open it back up, that's another thing.
They will. Stop saying if, dude. You negative Nancy.
No, here's the deal. I'm not hating on this deal right now. It might be nice to get these birds. I'd like to see, here's what I'd like to see. I'd like to see if the birds react a little bit different. Just think about it, okay? They get pounded in Canada. We know that because you and I have hunted there many, many times. You hunt a different region than I did, different province.
Some of them get pounded, but there's so many up there.
Yeah, there's no doubt. But that's their first educational piece. Then they get into the Dakotas or Washington or Oregon. I'm just kind of putting on a latitude line.
I'm picking up what you're laying down.
Yeah. So, by the time they get down to the wintering grounds, guys are wondering, why aren't we shooting as many mallards? Why aren't we shooting as many things? Again, I'd like to see a year like the old days where they don't get pounded in Canada.
So you're saying that your hopes are that no Americans can go to Canada this year, you selfish son of a bitch.
No. Don't put that on my back.
That's kind of what you just said. You don't want the birds to be pressured in Canada.
I just said I would just like to see the difference of what.
And in order for you to see that, you would have to have no Americans allowed in Canada.
Right. That would be terrible.
Yes, it would be terrible. That's Brian Keller. We're going to have an ongoing little series. Right, what's that?
I can see you laughing and smiling at me right now.
No, I'm not laughing. I just think I'll get you in trouble. YaYaCalls.com. Find them on Facebook, KO Outdoors and YaYa Calls. Am I getting it right? Are you on Instagram, Brian?
YaYa Calls on Instagram.
How do you spell YaYa?
Yeah. YaYa capitals.
YaYa?
Yeah. A lot of people say ya.
Ya sounds, that's Cajun. I would think that the Creole guy would be like, ya.
Yeah, there you go.
Does Stefan move his mouth when he talks?
Yes, he does.
Ya, the gumbo, huh? You got the gumbo there in the room?
He's a great partner.
I like Stefan. So Ya Calls, YaYa. What are you on Instagram?
Same thing. Ya Calls on Instagram. We have 2 different Facebook pages, which is KO Outdoors LLC, and then Ya Calls, and then we have Instagram, which is Ya Calls.
All right, book a hunt with KO Outdoors LLC right now through Facebook. You can direct message Brian or Stefan. Get your spec on. Get your Snow Goose on. Get to Northern California. Experience some badass hunting, big grinds, great culture, great food in the area, great bars in the area, great people in the area, great farmers in the area. Support. And I mean support no matter where you live in this country. If you're listening to this podcast right now, become a member. $35 a year is all it is of California Waterfowl Association. Remember, everything starts in California and moves eastward. They are fighting rigorously behind the scenes daily in advocacy, in conservation, in farming, in youth hunters, and mentorship programs. Anything that you can think of, from egg salvage to a woman's camp or to a college camp where they bring liberal people out of the UC Davis campus, 40 of them to be exact, and introduce them to this awesome lifestyle. And they have a 38 to 40% retention off of that hunt daily or yearly, meaning that 40% of those hunters that go on their first hunt, and these are kids that are in their right around 22 years old, most of them are seniors, they have 40% of them return and buy a hunting license the next year. They didn't grow up in a hunting family. They never hunted in their lives. They barely shot a gun or been around a gun. Mentorship is key. So think about that. California Waterfowl is doing this daily for hunters like you, for hunters like me, for hunters like the ones that came before us and the ones that'll come after us. So support conservation organizations and efforts such as California Waterfowl. Find them at calwaterfowl.org. You can find them at calwaterfowl on Instagram. Check them out. Become a supporter. Slap that decal on your rig or your trailer. Put that Copenhagen in your lip or that red man in your cheek, and just fit that perfect image and that stereotype of a duck hunter. Or don't chew and just have a piece of straw in your mouth. Sing a country song, hum a country song, grow a gray beard like my guest today, Brian Keller, has, and I'm starting to get. I'm only 35. He's 47. Brian, I appreciate you. Yeah calls. Check them out. Yeah. Book a hunt. This has been another episode of The Fowl Life. Please continue to support the partners and sponsors that support us. Like I talked about, Gerber Gear, Benelli, Federal, Mojo, Realtree, Corning Ford, Merlot Waterfowl. Yeah calls are with us. We got KO Outdoors on the show today. I love you guys. I love you girls. Thank you so much for the support. Tom, hit the button. This is 2 a.m. Logic, My Fowl Life. I'm Chad Belding. Thank you all very much.